Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of a live podcast. Today, we have a very special episode about something what is very new and what is big, and it's Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate was arrested in Miami, and right now, we're, where we have a woman from TRW exclusive, like what she feeling about it, what she think about it. So please welcome and sorry I forget. She's also my first ever woman in my podcast. So and she had this title. So I think you can remember her. Please welcome Tiger.
Thank you. That was a very nice introduction.
So my first question is okay. If the system is powerful enough to control governments, media, and banks, why does it still allow people like Andrew Tate to build massive audience and businesses?
That's a good question because it doesn't really allow. The system is put in place mostly as a barrier for people to break out. It's very hard to break out of the system of, well, being in debt. I believe the system of having to be loyal to a government, the system of having to be loyal to a job, and in many cases that doesn't pay you very well. So it's in many ways a very tyrannical system. And it's not so much that it allows people like Andrew Tate to break free from it. It's more that it creates the possibility, because when you have a system which is based on lies, I have this experience because I was brainwashed by real psychopaths. And the brainwashing and the system that are kept in place, they work very well for a time until they hit the truth. The moment they hit the truth, because it wasn't as much as I was saying to myself, my dad is a good father. I don't believe I've ever said that. But in regards to defending him and making up excuses for the actions he had done, trying to minimize the effect, trying to minimize and trying to paint it as nicely as I possibly could. This is the same way we are doing, for example, in a job we don't like, in a relationship we actually don't thrive in. We tell ourselves lies about this is what I get, this is as good as it can be, and then we hate the people who are over us. When you're in it's the same with all class systems, because you hate excellence when you're being on the Cain side. You start to identify with the victim, and this is what Andrew and Tristan Tate has done in regards to, they have broken people free of allowing themselves, especially young men, of allowing themselves to be victim, not only to this system, but to their own governments who have betrayed them in many sense and regards. Because you have to remember, back in 2022, 2023, when the Me Too movement, which I hate with every fiber in my being,
Me too.
and all of these empowering women movements and diversity, equality, and nonsense was really having a chokehold on the whole world as a whole. And if you disagreed with any of it, you were ostracized. And they create this term, toxic masculinity, to make all of the Cains feel better about themselves, all of the beta males. And Andrew, especially Andrew Tate, Top G comes along and he just punches the living daylights out of that myth, and he exposes it for what it is, because it is an excuse to behave yourself lower than your best potential.
If the authorities truly want to silence Andrew Tate forever, why is he still one of the most recognized influencers in the world?
Because nothing in this world can stop truth. There is not a bone you can break. There is not a corner you can take. There is not a cave you can hide in. You cannot bury the truth. And this is why I explained in regards to being brainwashed. Because when you first encounter the truth, all of the lies get a huge problem. They get a structural integrity problem because it's based on sand, right? And it's like a house of cards. If one of them goes, all of them goes. And the only thing they can do to silence Andrew Tate is to try and twist his words all around to make him look like the big bad wolf, to make him look like someone who is oppressive. And that's why they are throwing these accusations, these heinous accusations. And believe you me, it is an insult. It is offensive in the worst sense of the way for someone who has actually lived through and survived human trafficking to have some politician numbskull change the definition to fit a purpose. And believe you me, this is what they did. This is why they are including the lover boy method. I can assure you that there was nothing loving in the way I was treated by the people who were human trafficking me. There is absolutely nothing tender. There is absolutely nothing in the gray zones. There is absolutely no comparison. And these people who are now trying to act as the justice for the victims, which actually don't exist. The one victim I have seen that is actually connected, when I say victim, that is actually connected to the case is an ex-girlfriend. She's borderline in the video. Perhaps she's borderline, what's it called? Underage. But then her boyfriend is like, 5 years older than her, tops. I've had plenty of passionate relationships like that. There's absolutely nothing to it. There's absolutely no abuse. They are performing an act of sexual play between consenting adults. The reason why they are throwing these heinous allegations at them, trying desperately to make them stick, is because the only way they can stop Andrew Tate from speaking or from people to listening is to paint him as a horrible psychopath. But it won't work because unlike psychopaths, and believe you me, I had my study of them, Andrew Tate is a good man. And not only Andrew Tate, but Tristan Tate is a good man. And this is their crucial mistake because they were so eager to get the top G and to hurt him. And they know the only way to hurt him is to hurt his brother and his family. So they try to paint the allegations on both of them. And that just don't make sense because any way possible you could try to twist your own mind to believe that these lies could fit the top G. You cannot put them on Tristan Tate. They are completely different psychological profiles. They are completely different characters. It don't match. So I know 100% it is bogus.
Wow. I believe in you, of course. Like, yeah, like what you said is like is have a brain. It's not like a complete nonsense. Like, yeah, that's true. Absolutely true. So, do you think being influential or controversial should affect how someone is investigated?
No. And this is something I was watching I don't know if you saw it, but the Tate lawyer, he had a podcast with someone. I think it's called Emergency. I'll send it to you. And he was talking about this. And it's a very, very interesting thing because if regardless of how you feel about the Tates, you can, if you hate their guts, there's something that's called due process. And especially in America, America is the symbol of the land of the free. It's a symbol of justice. It's a symbol of, regardless of how much of a dirtbag you can be, we will treat you fairly. We will judge you in the order of our laws. And that is, it has to be 100% equal for everybody. That's the whole basis of the justice system. You cannot factor in the fact that someone is influential. You have to judge the pauper and the prince at the same level, or else it's not a justice system, or else it's not just. Yes, because if I didn't have as much information and research as I did on the Tate brothers, this would look like something that was really, really bad. And that is exactly the angle they are playing. That's what the UK, and this is actually interesting because they are not facing victims. There's not actually people involved in the case that has come and accused them. There's no single girl. There's no single person of injury. It is the crown against two people who the crown hates. And if I haven't had a lot of knowledge about who the Tate brothers were, I would be tempted to fall for just the effect of the heinous crimes. Because when we see pedophilia, when we see sexual abuse, when we see human trafficking, it stirs something in us, and especially in me, because I know what it feels like. I know the damage it causes, and I know how hard it is to get justice for it. I didn't get justice in my case. So those things combined would tempt me to prejudge.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Like, because like it must feel so wrong if you don't get your justice. So wrong.
Yeah. And it's annoying. I'm sorry, but it is. It is so annoying because you have to notice no one is talking about the Epsteins anymore. No one is talking about the real human traffickers. And it is mind-boggling. I get so angry because not only because I know the Tates are innocent and this is just a heinous murder or attempt of murder of justice, but it takes away the focus. And this is also something that I think is very I can't even say that word, convoluted, planned, and timed. It is too easy to create some diversion like this and then let the real nasty, I have no words for what real human traffickers are. It is, I think Jesus Christ said it the best. If you touch one of my little ones, the fate that is waiting for you is worse than if a millstone is put around your neck and you're thrown into the sea. These people, and they are trying to confuse people's mind and let the bad guys go free. And it is infuriating to me.
Why do you believe the investigation has lasted so long? What expression makes the most sense to you?
I don't know if any expression makes sense to me in regards to the investigation, because the way this case have been investigated out, why it takes so long, because they want to get him.
True.
Keir Starmer, Stinky Starmer, have stinky, yes, have 20 million pounds in actual money that is actually needed for the UK to actually get on their feet. They are in huge trouble. He chooses to spend 20 million pounds on sabotaging Andrew Tate. I am so glad I'm not a British citizen, because the way he has betrayed his people, just that fact of spending money, taxpayers' money, on his own personal vendetta against an influencer, celebrity online, is ludicrous, to say the least. It is narcissistic. It is borderline mental capacity. How the heck did he get the approval? Because he didn't ask. There was no widespread in the country. Is this okay? Can we spend money on this? Nope.
True. So, have you personally read court documents, or is your opinion based mainly on social media and TRW content?
Follow this case since it started, because it lies so close to my heart. When I first discovered that they threw this heinous, bogus, nonsense claim of human trafficker on him, and the whole world bit on that bait, it just infuriated me, because I researched Andrew Tate before I joined the real world. I spent months, because since I spent so long time of my life supporting bad people without really knowing, I made myself a promise I would never do that again. And this time, when I first found the real world, I was in big trouble, because I was in desperate need of a direction for my life. I had to find some way I could learn consistency, some way I can learn about how business works, some way I can learn about how money works, because all of these ways that I was trying to recover didn't work. Normal university, it didn't work. I discovered this. I was just trapped. So when I first found the Hustlers University, I had to make sure 100% that this was not a scam, that this was not a bad person, that this was not a rotten fruit that I was supporting, because I would never, ever in my life do that again. So I have followed the case all the way from back to 2022. I've read comments, I've read the published, because you can read anything that is online, and what the courts concluded in Romania. And this is also something that Andrew and Tristan Tate are publishing live on emergency meeting. They are presenting all of this information, and it is the accurate information according to the facts. This is also another thing that lends to their credibility, because it would be easy for them to just present, the best sides of themselves on their show and avoid some things, but they don't. They are very proficient and honest. And this is another thing I really appreciate. And according to the courts in Romania, their case is declared, there's so much mistakes that it is thrown out. And the reason why it still exists is because the prosecutor has a very long timetable to amend 260 something errors. Andrew Tate also explains this is in a 3-hour Rumble episode with, what's his called? The guy. You know who I mean. He has a 4-hour interview with him.
Yeah. I know.
I know, you know.
Yes, we both know. Do you think your trust is beside more on Andrew Tate public image or the available evidence?
Well, the thing is, they haven't really presented any available evidence. That is one thing that is a huge, interesting point, because if you would actually have a person, a human being, living human being, who is coming with accusations. This is one thing. But when you don't have a person, you don't have evidence, you don't have dates, you don't have times, you don't have incidents, you just have a whole bunch of flimsy stuff. But I believe still that my trust and where I base my conclusions from is rooted in the fact that I have done my research. And I'm very good at doing research. When I first started my research, you have to understand I adhere to the scientific method. So I don't start with a conclusion, I start with a question. And that from these questions, there's only two major possibilities, and they are extreme against each other. One cannot be true if this one is true. I compared Andrew Tate to a bunch of famous murder psychopaths, their psychological profiles. I did because I had to know. He's extremely charismatic, and it's very hard sometimes, especially if you're a little bit timid like I am. It's very hard sometimes to know what to do with all of that power. It can be very scary. But one of the things that I really looked upon was what is the effect of the words he says. Not all of the show, the shock factor things. That's not important, but the things that he says is important. And he is very clear on what the things he says is important. What is his main message to people? It is to reach after their highest potential. Go to the gym. At your work. Be the first one to arrive and the last one to leave. Be the person at work that is the best at doing his job. He's saying things that really produces a whole bunch of positivity. He's saying to young men, and this is one thing that the huge feminists that's why they hate him so much, because he's saying that he blew their bubble and on the mental health illness thing. That was one big thing he did under depression. He says depression is not real. And this is actually true, because when you are in a state of depression, you adhere to lies. When you are in a state of depression, you keep telling yourself these lies. I know it's really, really hard to get out of, but the first step is to tell the truth. The truth will set you free. I know this for a fact for myself, regardless of how low you feel. I saw people's comments about how they were saved from suicide. I saw how generous he was, and not only he, but his brother. I saw the genuine love and friendship and what that brings forth. These are the fruits. The actual fruits of a person are the impact they have on their surroundings. Because you have to remember, it would be seriously easy for Andrew Tate to just stop and leave all of his students when he first got out 2023. But he didn't. He's worked tirelessly. Now I'm starting to get tired.
It's okay.
He's worked so hard. And all of his messages have one single core, and that is to help his fans and his students. And I don't know any celebrity that has put in this amount of work for the people that they don't know and can't help them.
So truth doesn't need loyalty. It needs evidence. So my final question is, are you defending the evidence or are you defending the man?
That is a very interesting question, because I don't think they can be separated. Because the fact that they don't have any evidence is connected to a man who has an impeccable moral character, regardless of how the internet is trying to present him, and regardless of how many times he's saying that women can't drive. But the fact is, he's speaking truth. And if you as a female don't want a boyfriend who tells you he's a better driver, that's really your problem because you know it's true. Unless you had special circumstances. He's speaking the facts as he sees it, and this is a very rare quality. And he's speaking the facts as he sees it, regardless of the consequences. That's called bravery. So I'm not sure. Perhaps I'm defending the man more because a man like that, and not only, you have to remember the Tate is two men, and it's not only a man. It's a set of values. It's a character, a man who believes in defending the truth with everything in his heart and with everything in his power and with everything in his mind. That is something that is worth defending.
So, and I think this is it for the interview.
Yeah,
I thank you, Taigo, for your time. Thank you. You
welcome.
are so brave. And I have the last something what I want to share with with our views and our people who is listening. When the last camera shut down, when the microphones fall silent, when the handlines disappears, when every post is buried, there will be no influencers, no politician, no journalists, no algorithms, only history. And history has never cared about popularity, never cared about followers, and never cared about who shout the loudest. It's asked only one question: who stood with the truth when it was hardest to do so? Maybe today heroes will become tomorrow's villains. Maybe today villains will become tomorrow heroes. Maybe everything we think we know today will be rewritten. But the truth will never need defending because truth survives. Lies need followers. True only needs time. So don't leave this a conversation with answers. Leave with better questions. A question every headline, a question every narrative, a question every reader, a question every influencer, and a question every institution. And never stop questioning yourself because the greatest danger then because the greatest danger isn't being right to. The greatest believing you reach the end of search. This interview is over. Your journey isn't. See you on the other side of the truth. Bye.
Bye.